It's time for our January plan with me. This month we're illustrating Protea, and I have so much to share with you for the first of our Flowers of the World theme. Hello my friends, welcome back. My name is Shayda Campbell, and on this channel we get creative together. This is my January plan with me. I just released my 2022 yearly setup. Here's a quick glance at it. The theme this year is Flowers of the World, so I will be taking lots of requests, hopefully. If you want to get your journal set up for the year, I highly recommend watching my step-by-step tutorial. I'm going to skip a few pages there because I have a few more trackers to add, and then we are going to get started in this video on the January setup. So what I'm creating here is a Dutch door cover, which means you need 2 pages, mark in 8 squares on each page, and then we'll begin our illustration. My flower for January is Protea, and this is like a queen of flowers, so big and bold and spiky. And I'll begin my very simple illustration with a guide. So I draw 3 ovals where I want the flowers to sit, and we can add some lines to indicate where the stems and leaves will be. Then we divide each oval using curving lines, and that's going to help us create a really simple yet effective illustration that showcases the layers and layers of spiky petals that the Protea has. So I'm using a light pink here to kind of fill in the top area, and if we get closer you'll see what I'm doing. Then I'm going to take a darker pink and continue filling in using the guide that I already created in pencil, and I get this look of many layers by basically just doing some messy brush strokes in this really linear fashion. You don't need to use the exact same colors as I am. Basically what you need is 2 colors of pink or 2 colors of purple, or you could use 2 reds, whatever. But that is how I began the blossoms. Now we need 2 colors of green to do the stems and leaves. And I'm using some very cool minty greens. Starting with the lighter of the 2, I'm going to add some little leaves surrounding the oval blossom, and that's going to make it look a lot more spherical and 3-dimensional if we see little leaves poking out from in behind. And of course I'm doing messy stems and basically just framing the flowers with these beautiful minty green leaves. I really like this mint green with the dark burgundy. Once that looks good, we'll take our darker green and we're going to kind of give a little bit of definition to those leaves by making them a little darker on one side, and that gives again a somewhat 3-dimensional look, and of course just darkening up the stems and whatnot. Okay, our Protea January cover page is almost complete. All I want to do now is add a title with just a little bit of ripped paper. So I have a bit of craft paper here, and I'm just using a ruler to make a nice ripped edge and kind of like a perfectly imperfect little rectangle. We'll glue that in right on top of the illustration, and then all we need to do is write January across it. I always write it in pencil first and then go over it with a fine liner. I'm also going to add a little bit of my sketchy black line to parts of the illustration, but not the entire thing. I think the blossoms of the flower could really benefit from a little bit more definition, although they don't need it. So I'm adding just some lines, a bit of a contour drawing on the flower, but not on the leaves or the stems. Okay, time to cut out our Dutch door. So all I need to do to create the Dutch door is place my cutting mat underneath that single journal sheet. Then we need a ruler and a paper knife. And we're going to take our ruler, put it against that line that we drew, and we are going to just do 2 straight cuts, one at the bottom and one at the top. Then we'll have that nice loose area, and we will just freehand the rest, and that can take a minute and take a little time. You could also use some tiny scissors, like embroidery scissors, but eventually you'll get it, and we've got a beautiful floral Dutch door. At this point, you might see some blank spaces that you feel like could be filled in with some more leaves or whatever, but I think it's looking quite good. And what I want to do is flip over here, and I always place my month at a glance underneath the Dutch door. So this is where I write goals, affirmations, things that are a little bit more personal, and they're kind of tucked away under my cover, and I love that. What I want to do for my month at a glance is create some pattern work. Now this is something that I've done before, and for this you'll need 2 shades of gray. It doesn't matter what, or it could be 2 shades of any color. We're going to start with the lighter of the 2 colors that you've chosen, and we are just going to sketch a whole bunch of branches and leaves on this lower page. And you may want to take a look with the upper page. I kind of keep flipping mine down and looking where do I want these leaves to sit so that I don't kind of have a weird little half leaf sticking out or whatever. But for the most part, it doesn't matter. Just sketch a whole bunch of leaves and create a nice pattern on the page below. With the pattern work done, let's grab a little bit of ripped paper to complete this spread. Now, if you watch my 2022 setup, you'll notice I use a little bit of ripped paper to incorporate color. It's a really easy way to do that. And that's exactly what I want to continue with here. So I'm just, again, using a ruler to rip a very perfectly imperfect little rectangle. And then I'm going to use that pink paper that I used earlier in my setup to draw another little flower. So I want to use the exact same formula to approach the Protea. I'm going to sketch it out really quick and then use those 4 colors, 2 greens and 2 pinks to fill in. And this is like truly the easiest way you could draw Protea. With the illustration done, we are going to cut that out. I won't try to rip that one. We'll cut it out. And then again, I'm just using a glue stick to place these ripped paper bits. Either use a white glue stick or a little bit of rubber cement. I find that's the best thing you can use in your journal to keep the pages from like buckling or warping. And the Archer and Olive paper quality is excellent, and it stands up well to using a bit of glue or even heavier or wet mediums. I just took that second dark gray and added some detail to those leaves, and then the only thing that's left to do here is to take a fine liner. I'm using the Mulatto black liners. Remember, all the supplies are linked in the description, and I am just adding my goals and focus and a few details to the flower. Let's get rid of all of our pencil marks, and that is our Dutch door cover and month at a glance page all done. Okay, moving on, I want to create a calendar page for January. Again, taking a little bit of ripped paper here, and we're just going to create like a nice illustration on the left since my calendar will be on the right. It's always nice to have a small ruler on hand to rip your paper, but you don't have to rip it perfectly. Perfectly imperfect is so much more interesting. In fact, I'm wrinkling this paper or crumpling it just to give it that extra bit of texture. It's just that little bit of added interest. We'll glue that in, and then I have a pretty little area here where I can do a small illustration. If you do have a bit of washi tape, it can be nice to add some. It just gives you a little bit of texture and pattern. And let's leave that alone, and we're going to move over to the right and create a simple calendar. Mine is just going to be a grid. I am doing the squares 3 by 4, so it takes up a nice area of the page. This, of course, is the A5 journal from Archer and Olive, and you can find the link in the video description. Shop my link, please. That helps support this channel. And we'll take a fine liner. I believe this is the 07 Mulatto black liner, so it's got a nice weight and heaviness to it, which is great for a larger illustration like a calendar. My method for drawing the calendar is always the same. Just pull that pen towards your body. It helps you keep it steady, and you don't have to bother or fuss about with a ruler. I might have made that calendar a little small. We'll just add a couple more boxes there, a little bit of gray across the top, and that way I can use my white gel pen to add in the days of the week. Now I just want to zhuzh up this spread a little bit by creating an illustration here on my ripped paper. And what could be better than a simple wreath? So I just sketch a very perfectly imperfect oval on the ripped paper, and then I can take my fine liner and just add all these messy little branches. They don't even all have to join together. I just do one little section at a time, adding tiny stems kind of curving off in each direction, and you get this very lovely, whimsical, and delicate wreath, and then you can place any kind of quote or whatever you like in the center. I decided to take that illustration onto the right-hand page as well, and just using the same kind of tiny, delicate little branches, and it kind of gives a nice mirrored effect having something on the left as well as the right. Then that is the calendar page or spread complete, and let's move on because we have a lot more stuff to cover. We're going to do a weekly layout as well as a yearly tracker. We'll continue on with our weekly spread. For this spread, I have a circle in the middle of 2 pages, and I'm creating these little sections where I'm marking out a line that is 7 squares long, and then I divide it. And you can kind of see what the shape looks like for each of those. I've got 6 of them here, and you'll see them come together. This is definitely something I've seen on Pinterest, and it's just a nice way to create like a little date box for each day of the week. Sorry about my hair in the frame, but there are the 6 little areas, and then you're going over the rest of the lines with the fine liner, adding in the day of the week. And then we will put the rest of the date down below. I just need to see what day January starts on. So Monday the 3rd, and then that just fills in really nicely. And then we have this big center area where you can place an illustration. I've traced a circle in the middle there, and then I'm going to continue on with my Protea theme. So Protea is our theme for January, something of a more tropical flower that's not quite so northern hemisphere specific. That's what I really want to get away from. I want you to feel included. If you're watching from Australia or Brazil or wherever, I want to be covering some of the flowers from your country and region. So please, friends, comment below and let me know, what flower do you want to see for February, for March? What is your favorite flower? It doesn't have to be like considered exotic or tropical. It can just be anything that I haven't really covered a lot on the channel. I can't wait to read your requests and start planning for next month. So that is the January setup, pretty much all done. Our Dutch door, month at a glance, our little calendar spread, and our weekly layout. Then we're going to flip back into my yearly layout section, and as promised in the yearly setup video, I'm going to create a tracker. Now, the tracker I want to do for this year is what I'm calling an experience tracker. And I'll talk more about what I mean by that in a second. To create this, I want to do a little illustration for the title, and that's on the left page. So I just traced my washi tape and I'm sketching out a little hot air balloon. I did that pretty quickly, but you just need to create the form of the balloon around the circle. You can add a little basket down below, maybe some clouds peeking out from behind, and then I am writing my 2022 yearly experiences. And then I'll place the word tracker on the other page, and here's how this is going to work. I'm going to create a cloud for each month. I like the idea of clouds because they themselves are ephemeral and fleeting and moving, I don't know. And within each cloud, I will write a few experiences I took on that month just because. Life is moving so fast right now with working and being a mom and spending time with family. I want to do things just to do them. So whether it's a hike that we went on just because, or a store that I always wanted to visit, or a place in the city that I wouldn't normally go, like a small museum or gallery. These are the type of things that I want to track, and it's a way to get me motivated to do something each month just because, something I wouldn't normally do. I'm adding a little bit of gray to the clouds to make them look fluffy, and I'm going to do the same thing on the other side here. And then all that remains is for me to basically just color in my little hot air balloon. Let's grab those same colors of pink so we can kind of incorporate some of the colors from the January setup into my yearly setup area. I am doing these large stripes on the hot air balloon, but you could do polka dots or some other pattern, and then we'll just do a little brown basket down below. So it's quite a simple illustration. You might want to add some sketchy black lines, more fine liner details to it, as I do, but that's pretty much it. Give a little texture to the basket. And of course, I will continue the clouds onto the next couple pages. But for now, this is the first 6 months of my experience tracker. I'm still hoping to maybe create a savings tracker. We'll see. We will see. It's been different this year doing a setup with a little baby. I'm trying to do this in the in-between times while also making sure to film it. So don't put any pressure on yourself to get your journal done, quote unquote done. This is something that should be relaxing for you, and it doesn't have to look exactly like mine. Your journal should reflect you and your needs and the time that you can realistically spend on it. So that is my January setup all done. We've got a calendar, our Dutch door, a nice weekly spread, and patrons, don't forget that you can print my cover page. That is available for you for being part of my bonus content club. Thanks for watching today, friends. Please drop your requests and comments below, and I'll see you soon with a new tutorial.